Hi guys, William Morris here, and today we're going to be taking a look at both the full and free versions of Evolution Devastator Warzone from Keepforest. So both libraries will run in the full and free player versions of Kontakt. That has to be 6.5.2 and above. And the full version of the library has an install size of around 12 gigabytes. So this may sound big for a toolkit type library, but as you'll see, one, the library is massive, and two, there are also many samples supplied as WAV files as well as the Kontakt patches. The full version of the library is currently priced at $199, and the free version just requires you to make an account with Keepforest and download the library. So first up, I'll show you the full version of the library, and then we'll look at what carries over into the free version as well. So if we jump into the patch list on the full version here, you can see it's all nicely categorized. We've got some hits, we've got general drums, which are more kits. We've got a variety of bass sounds, tonal FX, pulses, and then our playable sounds at the bottom. So I'm just going to go through these in order. As you'll see, there is a huge amount of content in this library, more than I can probably cover in just the one review. So I'm just going to try and show you all the main stuff. So I've started in hits, and we're on the trailer drums, and these all have round robin. So as you can hear, absolutely massive, sort of typical hybrid style trailer drums. Very full frequency, so there's kind of a lot of bass information, there's a lot of hard hitting, punchy mid, and then there's always something on the top end as well. And with the round robin, they all sound sort of very playable, very repeatable in faster passages. You can see this section on the screen here is actually where the round robins are, so you can actually turn them off individually if you don't want a particular one. One thing you might have noticed on the first little playthrough I did there is there's kind of some phasing going on when you play multiple ones at once. I'd say that given the size of these, most of them are actually designed to be played sort of single key, rather than, you know, 2 or 3 at once. It sounds huge, but it kind of gets pretty messy because they're all so sort of full frequency and in your face. Okay, so that's a little taster of the trailer drums. And now we jump into the first patch of the hits. So these are similar sounding, but they're all one shots instead of being round robins. So these are more for kind of your first beat, first bar accent type stuff. So you notice these are a variety of whoosh bang type sounds and also some that start right on the hit. If there are any whoosh bang sounds that you want to just take the transition off and go straight from the hit, we have this really handy little button here. That means we can just go straight to the smack part of the sound. I really like this feature, and I wish kind of more libraries would have stuff like this. You'll see throughout on the UI that they've really thought of people's workflows. So that's a few of the hits. As you can see across the keyboard here, there's so many. There's also a hits 2, which is kind of more of the same. So let's move on to some space hits. So really verbed out kind of, yeah, as the name implies, massive spacey hits. And last in the hits category, we have some booms. So as you can hear again, some of these have a little transition sound on the start. We can use the from hit thing again and just straight into the boom then. Let's just listen to a few more. Considering how many of these there is actually some really nice variety, and it's kind of hard to have a lot of variety in boom sounds, you know, because they all follow that sort of really sharply filtered off sort of thing, so there's not as much to play with on these. So that's the hits pretty much, but there is this Pulse Designer patch up at the top here, which since an update of Kontakt, I believe, now supports user imported samples as well. So essentially this patch allows you to load your own samples into this section here, just by drag and drop, which I'll show in a second. They have loaded one sound in here just to get you started, which is just this simple kind of ping sort of thing. So if we go into the actual rhythm section, you'll be able to see how we can start designing some pulses. And first thing we've got to do is obviously turn on the step sequencer. One thing I do love straight off the bat, which is kind of tucked away down here, is the get MIDI part. So basically anything that you have in this step designer, you can drag and drop MIDI files from Kontakt straight into your DAW, which again is just such a nice kind of workflow thing, because a lot of writing in trailers involves layering. So this is just a really nice kind of quick way of adding this pattern onto other sounds. So there's a bunch of preset rhythms in here as well. As you can see, a lot of them are based around sort of fairly typical progressions you might find. Obviously this one's designed more for drums instead of this ping sound, but let me just drag and drop a sample in. So we just need to go back to the main panel, and then I can click and drag a sample in. So you have the option to add a new sample onto the next key, or you can replace the current one. We're just going to replace at the moment. And you can see it's loaded the little waveform for the sample I put in. The sample I put in is actually just a sort of kick sound I designed on a synth. So obviously when we play it back now, it's using the rhythm we've selected in here. And as I say, there's tons. So we could just do a basic 16ths. So there are a lot of libraries that obviously come with arpeggiators and step sequencers and that kind of thing, but I find myself not using a fair few of them just because I find it easier to program it within my DAW. But actually this has been really nicely thought out, and I love the sort of workflow features, being able to drop your own samples in, being able to get the MIDI out back onto your DAW really easily. And you got a ton of these sort of everyday rhythms and some more complicated stuff to get you started as well. Within this Pulse Designer, there's actually a couple of other sort of hidden ones. So there's a Pads Designer as well. And this is using all the same concepts, but it's sort of, yeah, geared towards drones and pads. So yeah, another kind of really cool way of just designing more of your own sounds. All right, so that's category one, the hits. As you can tell, there's a ton in this library. Let's jump into some drums. So this is a massive category, but a lot of the stuff has been divided up really nicely onto separate patches. So the main two you're going to start off with are these drum machines, which are kind of done this familiar sort of drum pad style layout. These are all fully customizable as well. You can swap out any samples you want. You can do things like randomize the kit, and you have all these presets at the top. As you can see, there's a ton, 38 different modern kits, but they're all sort of based around more traditional drum sort of stuff. So, you know, kick snare type drum kits, as opposed to loads of taikos and orchestral percussion things. All right, so let's have a listen to some of these. That's modern cinematic. Let's take a listen to the trap ones. So what I noticed with this library is the kind of flavor is, there's a lot of like traditional hybrid stuff in there, but there's also a ton of things that borrow from other genres like hip hop, trap, pop and stuff like that. So it's kind of really cool for trailer production where you're sort of being asked to cover some of those styles a little bit as well. Yeah, so obviously really kind of trap influence, that one. Let's do modern hip hop. Some huge claps on there. All right, so you get the idea with this one, but there is a ton of different kits and a ton of different samples, so it really does cover pretty much everything you could want within those sort of styles. Let's have a go on some hybrid kits. Nice. Let's try one of the pop ones. Yeah, I mean, they all sound massive and really sort of able to put across the feel of that genre, but kind of keeping it sort of big and trailery at the same time. Okay, so here's a drums round robin patch. So we're starting at you can see it's kind of color coded, so we start lower and then kind of go higher. So we've got kick kind of sounds. Yellow's kind of more snare stuff. And then at the top is kind of more cymbals, metals, that kind of thing. So yeah, even more sounds, and really nice to have kind of these more unusual sort of stuff, all with round robin as well. So they're all kind of very playable. This next one's really interesting. It's guns. So yeah, you've got both kind of like gunshots and gun mechanics, and they're all sort of sound designed alongside a hit sound. And this is something that's kind of become really popular in a lot of trailer stuff, is sort of timing gunshots with cuts and stuff like that. So this is something that kind of gets you straight away in that ballpark. We have a burial kit. I'm not sure what the burial refers to, but it's a really kind of dead sounding kit, so I'm not sure if that's what the name means. So now we're kind of into more separate category stuff. So you've got a load of kicks. These are all one shots. But as you can see again, an absolute ton of sounds, probably more than you'd ever need, to be honest. Roomy kicks. I really like these. They've got that kind of more lively, yeah, sort of bigger room sort of style to them. Let's have a listen to some snares. Yeah, awesome. And again, kind of a mix of genre stuff and trailer stuff at the same time. Let's try some live snares. So these are a little bit more kind of acoustic sounding. Epic claps. Yeah, these sound great. I know from kind of doing some sort of pop trailer crossover stuff myself that it's really nice to have these bigger versions of sounds, because obviously most of the time when you're going through a claps library, they're sort of geared towards pop and stuff, and they can sound big and stuff, but not sort of this trailer size. So there's epic claps and there's also massive claps. I'm not sure what the difference is, but okay, so the massive ones are actually kind of a bit drier. This one's claps and snaps. I'm really sort of blown away with how much is in this library. I mean, we're only on like one patch of one category, and there's just, you know, full sort of octaves of sound spread across. Let's do modern claps. Nice. I like that these have these kind of whooshes into them as well. They're great for accenting stuff. Thumps, not sure what these are, but these are also round robin. Okay, so sort of subbier kick kind of sounds. And we've got metals. So again, pretty much any sort of metal sound you could want for a drum kit. Trap style hats. Great stuff. So these are more guns again, but these sound to me sort of like more gun mechanic type sounds, like reloads and stuff like that. Yeah, these are really rhythmic, obviously, so this is possibly one that you might have to dive into and end up cutting stuff up to kind of get it to sync to what you're doing. But I mean, great sounds, and yeah, this kind of thing seems to be super popular at the minute with, you know, action trailers and that kind of thing. So we've got some drum fills. Nice, really aggressive. So now we're on to some loops. I'll just do one category for these. So yeah, that's all your sort of kick stuff. Snares. It's obviously all tempo synced. I'm actually only at 100, so a lot of these are probably a bit slower than they were originally recorded. But yeah, that's the drums category. Really kind of awesome stuff in there. So many samples, and definitely kind of really current sounding in terms of what trailer stuff's doing. So let's try bass. And first up, we've got some brass and stabs. So these first ones, they're kind of Brahms, basically. Maybe that term's not as popular anymore because it's kind of been, you know, done quite a bit, but these two sound really cool. Really aggressive, and you know they're going to kind of cut through and mix incredibly well. So the ones on the purple keys, these are more your stabs. So they're almost sort of like an exaggerated staccato kind of thing. These are great though. I mean, they're kind of almost like that kind of hip hop influence, the way they used to sample sort of old brass stuff. But this is probably a good time to show you one of my favorite features on the UI as well, which is this stretch mode. So basically, as soon as you found a sample that you like, you can put it into stretch mode, and this essentially then remaps the sample you've chosen, but just spreads it across the keys so you can play, you know, tonal stuff. I really like this workflow because it's kind of, it follows exactly how you would, you know, process stuff when you're going through sounds. You'd find something that you really like, and then you go, okay, well now I need to play it along with my track. So this kind of mimics that workflow perfectly. So yeah, they sound ace, and really cool for that sort of big hip hop thing. So let's do fundamental basses. So these are all just kind of different sustained bass sounds, basically. And again, just sort of, if you find one you like, then go hit stretch mode, and now you can play it across the whole key range. So next up we have some bass pulses, but these are kind of cool because they have round robin, which is a nice addition. The other nice thing about these is that they do all have the round robin, and they're tied to the rhythm engine here. So obviously, if you'd like a different rhythm, it's easy to do. Let's try some distortion basses. So these are similar to the sustained bass patches, but obviously they're way more kind of distorted and aggressive, and some really kind of cool sounding stuff in here. Let's try some 808s. So again, this is kind of a bit of a crossover between trailer and other genres. Yeah, those sound ace. And again, you've got stretch mode for when you want to try and make them tonal. Let's try some of the hybrid ones, just see how different they are. So yeah, much more sort of trailer style than the other ones. Next up, we've got some one-shots on the bass. Yeah, really cool. I can kind of see them accenting the style of a bar. So we've got some downers as well. So yeah, I'm guessing everyone already has a ton of downers and stuff like that anyway, but sometimes it's nice just to have new sounds, even if it's just for yourself sort of thing. These are distortion reverse pulses in loop format. Oh, cool, okay. So yeah, sort of like reverse swells, but still in a rhythmic pulse kind of thing. Nice, I like those. So final one for bass is bass and Brahms, and these are also loops. Yeah, these sound great. Probably not one I might use personally just because it's a loop, but you could obviously chop these up, do what you want with them, kind of really make them your own afterwards. All right, so Tonal FX is next, and I have had a quick listen to these already. There's some really kind of cool stuff in there. A lot of it's kind of vocal based, but obviously really processed. So I like quick shouts and chants and sort of single word stuff. But with the distortion, kind of makes it sound sort of halfway between guitar sounds and vocal sounds, which is kind of cool. So you get 3 different categories of those. I'll just show you the first ones for these. So this is wild screams, but delayed sounds. These all use a lot of the built-in reverb here, which I haven't really gone through, but I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, and it, I think, just uses the Kontakt's inbuilt one. It's kind of cool, though, when you move the controls, the little man in the middle turns his head. All right, so these are woes. I mean, you can really get lost in these categories. There's so many, even per patch. It's amazing to have all these sounds. Sometimes kind of going through them, you do get a little bit of patch fatigue where you sort of maybe wish there was less to kind of be easier to find and choose something. But also, I guess, as some of these are verging into sort of signature sound territory, you really don't want to be in that position where you kind of have something that sounds really similar to what someone else has done. So yeah, these are the signature ones, lead and guitar type. Nice, so these kind of feel like guitar versions of some of the vocal stuff a little bit more. So we have also a delayed version. And other, which I'm guessing is everything else. do like that though, that's really nice. These are actually my favourites out of the signatures. So now we've got signals, and these are kind of like ping sort of sounds, I guess. So that was leads and distortions. Let's try some classic ones. Yeah, so a bit more sort of classic pings for those. Also got ambient versions. Nice, I like those. It's nice to have kind of, yeah, more ambient versions of stuff in Trailer Toolkit libraries, because sometimes everything's, you know, turned up to 11 and big and meant to cut through, but it's nice to have smaller sounds for your intro sections and stuff like that. So these ones are loops. So yeah, again, probably not a category I'd use too much, but you could go in and cut some stuff up. So let's do reverses. Nice, so these are kind of all short reverses as opposed to rises, which is going to be the next one. Yeah, these are really nice. I mean, obviously rises have been sort of in Trailer Toolkit libraries for quite a while, so it's nice to have fresh ones as much as possible. Okay, so that's Tonal FX. Let's try some pulses. And we'll start with thump pulse. So these are really subby, almost kind of like heartbeat type pulse stuff. And these do sync to host tempo, but they don't use the rhythm engine, so they are set in terms of what the rhythm is. But they're obviously a bit more designed than a regular pulse. Okay, let's try some of the classic ones. Let's do one of the hybrid ones. Yeah, really nice, and I kind of like that they've stuck to sort of commonly used rhythms as opposed to getting too crazy, because these ones really are nice as beds that, you know, sit a little under stuff. So these are mid pulses, so a little less bassy. Yeah, so these feel a bit more guitar based, like they're going to cut through as well. And last we have modern pulses. Yeah, these are really nice, man. I mean, they've kind of added a bit more accenting, but it's still kept really simple, and the sounds themselves are great as always. So from pulses, we have a final category, which is playables. Now, I know this is labeled playables, but I kind of feel like a a lot of the library is really sort of playable just because of the stretch option on the keyboard, which kind of let you play everything tonally. So we have 808 basses. And these ones you flick through the presets just down here. So as you can see, there's quite a few. So let's try some of the modern ones. So yeah, these are more your sort of sustained ones. Actually quite similar to, I think it was, yeah, the bass category. There was a few sort of fundamental bass ones in here that were sustained basses. So this is kind of a bit more of the same thing. We've got some lead sounds. Nice, really aggressive. Yeah, these will definitely cut through the mix for when you're in that big sort of back end section. So let's try some plucks. Nice. Let's do a few more. Nice. These are kind of obviously all plucks, but all sort of different. Add something a little bit extra. Okay, so last up we have the Modern Pluck FX. Not sure I'm as keen on these. They're kind of a little bit sort of you know, sci-fi keyboard sounding. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But as you can tell, there is a huge amount of stuff in this library. And I'm really impressed with a lot of the workflow improvements that they've added and just the quality of the sounds themselves. You know, they're sort of really up to date with what's going on in trailers. And it's great to have sounds that sort of mimic other sort of genres like pop and hip hop and stuff like that, but have them all packaged up in a trailer sort of ready format. I mean, really, as a package, it sort of provides most of what you need outside of an orchestra to do, I'd say, a large majority of trailer genres. You know, you could do a lot of hybrid stuff, you could do a lot of trap crossover stuff, hip-hop crossover, pop crossover. I think horror is probably the one that's maybe missing from this, but obviously it's not kind of targeting that. This is more towards your sort of modern commercial genre stuff in a way. So yeah, really impressed. I mean, for $200 or $199 or whatever, it's giving you so many tools and options to get kind of going in trailer stuff. All right, guys, so I think that's about it for the full version of the library. Let's take a look at what kind of carries over into the free version. I'll just keep both panels open so you can see. So first up in the free version, we get a few of the drum kits, which are from the drums category 2 in there. So you see we're back to this kind of pad style setup. And I believe, yeah, there's a sort of slightly slimmed down, but still, I mean, you get 10 kits within that, which is pretty amazing. So this is a modern trap one. Sound ace. Yeah, let's do one more of those. Let's try a pop one. Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of ready to go, you know, and that's, what is that, 10 kits, which is pretty amazing even on its own. You also get some trailer hits, which is from this hits category at the top. So these are all the one-shot ones basically. And as we looked at in the full one, you can use this from hit feature to go straight into the hit part of the sound. So they also include the fills and recharges patch, although obviously with a slimmed down amount of content. They're almost like sound design fills. So we have a category for some of the playable stuff, which is from category 6 on the full one. So this one's got some of the basses, leads and plucks, and also some 808 bass stuff. Let's do 808 bass first. And try some leads. And let's get some plucks. Nice, so that's kind of just a selection from some of the playable category on the top one. You got some more basses. So these are some of those like brassy stabs and brom kind of things. And I'm sort of amazed at how many you get in the free one. All right, let's try some of the pulses. So again, quite a lot to choose from. We also have some of the scream stuff from the Tonal FX category. I think this is kind of more of the vocal part stuff. And from that same category, we have some of the signals and signs, which are a bit more ping territory. There's a few of the loops as well from the tonal part. So this reversed effects and rises was 2 patches in the full library, but they've been combined here. So you get some shorter ones, which are the reverses, and then some more kind of riser stuff near the top. And last but not least, we have the downers, which I've made in as well. So yeah, that's a quick overview of what you'd get in the free one versus the full one. Now, obviously the full one has way more stuff, and you get things like the round robin, guns, drums, and a ton of this extra percussion stuff from that category. And all the others have way more in them as well, but I'm actually kind of like blown away with how much is in the free one. I mean, I'd say it's definitely one of the best sort of free libraries I've seen, and I know Keepforest are kind of pretty generous with the free content stuff. But I mean, really to get 11 sort of different categories of really kind of high-end stuff is pretty amazing. My only worry with sort of slightly slimmed down libraries like this that are freely available is that everyone starts using a lot of the same sounds. And really trailers, especially at the moment, are kind of, I feel, sort of moving towards something where people are looking for something different. And you know, sometimes a key will get a placement just on a really cool sort of signature sound that it's got in it. So I think that's just something maybe to be wary of if you're going to go for one of these free libraries and you really want to start, you know, to get going in trailers. But I'm definitely, yeah, kind of pretty blown away with what you get for the free one, and also how massive the full paid one is as well. So much stuff in there, and it's really useful and kind of nicely organized. And all the workflow stuff they put in the UI is definitely going to be fun to work with. And it's really difficult to actually come up with any negatives for the library because it's been really well put together. I think the only one thing I've come across when sort of diving through is just the sheer amount of stuff can sometimes give you that patch fatigue. That's a really sort of nitpicky critique, saying that there's, you know, too much content, because obviously, you know, on the other edge of the sword, that can be a massive plus for you as well. Okay guys, so I hope you've enjoyed this review. If there's anything I've missed or anything you want me to kind of go through in more detail, do leave me a comment and I'll try and help you out, and I'll see you again on the next one.